So personally, I come from a second wave feminist background, and though I'm essentially a libertarian conservative today, I've always believed that men and women are equal and that race shouldn't matter. I believe in merit as well as the character of people. But what I've been hearing about Brie Larson and how Marvel Studios is approaching not just the character of Captain Marvel, but the very nature of the movie, I'm worried that we're going to have another Mary Sue lead character on our hands, as well as have a film that talks down to men and may not have a good story, which is always a killer for a movie. And I want to be clear, I'm not against having an intersectional hero in the Marvel Universe. We have conservative ones in Captain America, for example, who is, very pro-America, very much for individual liberty. We have a capitalist in Iron Man, for example, and there are many other characters across the political spectrum throughout the Marvel universe. So why wouldn't we have a progressive one or even a socialist? I'm fine with comic books and superhero films allowing for politics as well as discussions and debates on these things in the very medium itself. So I'm not against that occurring in this movie. But what I don't want to see is a movie that I pay good money for, and believe me, I take my entire family with me, and that's 6 people, and I don't want to be put down in something that I spend a lot of money on, or any money on. And I don't want my wife or my boys or my girls to be patronized either. Now, keep in mind, I've seen every Marvel movie ever. I've collected tens of thousands of Marvel comic books from 1979 through about 1991. And even though I've stopped since then, I do remember the original comics where Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel, and then she came back as binary after she lost her memory, from Rogue essentially taking it from her. And this is all before she became Captain Marvel. Now, I think there's potential here for a good character in this film. This movie may be able to touch on some themes and can present a unique and very human character. So let's not completely throw out this film yet until we see it. And while I personally would have preferred a Black Widow film, I'm fine with seeing this movie provided it's an intelligent one. And generally speaking, the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe has been well done from movie to movie. There's potential here for the filmmakers here to pull this one out. Keep in mind how they film these films. They basically have all the actors record a whole bunch of clips, and they essentially assemble them in post and put together a story out of all this. I mean, they have a story anyways, but they basically rule out, well, this doesn't sound good. In second thought, this isn't good here. How about we change things up here? And so that's how these films come out. So I fully expect a lot of tight editing and putting together a very good film, as they've done in the past. They've produced dozens of these films so far, and most of them I think have been good. Also keep in mind that actors can be terrible people off screen, but still produce good movies. I mean, this goes for everyone in the industry. There are practically no paragons of virtue in Hollywood. Most people, like you and I, will not learn any moral lessons by looking up to any of these people in this industry. But their films may still be great. And personally, I think it would be something if this movie is actually better than what we expect now that expectations are being lowered due to what we're hearing in and around this movie. And this movie may actually outperform these lowered projections due to the negative press that this film has been getting. So this movie might be good. It may still have some social justice themes and some progressive politics thrown in, but that isn't necessarily bad. And remember, I'm a conservative, right? I should be against all this and be jumping and pouncing and all that kind of stuff against this. But I think there's potential here, and I have trust in this studio as a whole. So the key in this film is, how do they treat their audience? I don't want to confuse characters that hold a certain view with an entire movie that does nothing but insult the audience. Keep in mind, those are two different things, character versus the movie itself. How does the character interact with other characters? How does the movie treat its audience, okay? Also, I don't want to conflate political correctness with kid-friendly storytelling and characters. So maybe there's not going to be romance in this film. Maybe it's not going to be a love story. but maybe it's also not going to be doing a lot of things that may not be kid friendly. If you saw the last Fantastic Four movie, there are some legitimate horror scenes in that film. And I had my two daughters with me, and they're relatively young at the time when that came out. And they were both actually kind of horrified and terrified in that movie. The youngest one actually closed her eyes and covered up at least 2 times in the film. And so there's a lot of bold, innovative things you can do in films that are also bad for the audience or some of the audience. And there are politically bad things that can be done that can negatively affect the audience. This film may not necessarily talk down to the audience or specifically insult sections of it. We'll see. I know it doesn't sound good, but I just think there's potential here, and I'm willing to give this film a chance. One other thing I wanted to point out is I do hope that Captain Marvel isn't a Mary Sue. It's one thing to be like a Superman, an all-powerful character, or Supergirl, or Wonder Woman, but it's another thing to be perfect. And I want to see a character that's imperfect, maybe even flawed or fallen, and learn some lessons over time and maybe become a better person by the end of the film. So I'd like to see that happen here, and I hope that the story as well as the characters are good here. And keep in mind, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is essentially a superhero soap opera. We can't tell what's going to happen from movie to movie, but we can pretty much expect the same characters to return over time or a certain arc throughout movies to occur. So while we do have warning signs here, keep in mind that these studios, they want to do something like make a movie for $1 million and then have it, do $100 million at the box office. So the last thing they want to do is alienate or restrict their audiences and limit their profits. So I have a hunch that Disney and Marvel Studios is going to keep things on track here. So let's give Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios a chance to prove themselves. For example, we heard that Black Panther was going to be bad, and I thought it was pretty good. So anyways, that's going to do it for this commentary. I will be seeing this movie next week, and I will be doing a movie review now that I'm back. So I hope you'll subscribe and watch that one. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.